recording, right?
I'd like to call to order a special work session for the City of Trinidad Tourism Board on March 29th at 9 a.m. Maura, you want to take roll?
Campbell?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Michaels? Miller?
Here.
Richardson? Here.
Motion to accept graphic art design.
Oh, wait, go back, Tom.
Oh, what am I going back?
Review of graphic design services proposals.
Yeah, we gotta review them first.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Review of graphic design services proposals. Jeff Montoya and Jerry Campbell.
So I printed the packet out. I did give it to you at the last meeting. I didn't know if you had time to review it or not, but the complete packet is before you. Starts with the cover letter, then it has his resume. And then he goes into examples of the creatives that he's done. Several local, Tri-Peaks Theaters is a local one. He's done a variety of graphic designs, from t-shirts to booklets, web design, posters, photography. And it looks like social media. And then the last 2 pages are his pricing guide.
So I have a question. As we do this new graphic designer, I think we also need to have a conversation of what we really want it to look like and want it to be like. Because I know that we need more professional advertising for sure, but is there also a desire to revamp the logo? I don't know how long ago that was done. I know that was done a few years ago. Or, you know, and then what is our core messaging? I mean, I know we're really talking about outdoor recreation, bringing people to the main street, but I think we will get a much better product delivery if we have a really good understanding of what we want and what we want that to look like. And, you know, I'm just curious from you guys, having a history here, you know, what does that look like? Because I know when I did rebranding for our business, the group that I worked with basically made me do therapy for my business. Like, I had to go in and really tell them who I was, what we were about. I told them all about our product, about us, or whatever. And they really created a story. And then when I read that story, I was like, oh, yeah, because that then became sort of my elevator pitch, which I was able to communicate to others of what my goals were. And then I had a pretty good image idea of the visuals that I wanted, and was able to communicate that. You know, and I think for us to be on the same page of what those visuals should look like so that we can communicate with this person. And I don't know if today is the day to do that. But as I look through this, and I'm not sure even if it's a work session or more of a workshop time where we really kind of create some visual boards of what we want these things to really look like so that we can then communicate that to this person, and maybe whoever we hire, that's part of the process. I don't know. I mean, I've worked with designers on a number of branding things, and putting together some kind of aesthetic that you really want, I think helps them and helps you see it.
I could see like you come from a business standpoint, and us as a business standpoint too. But there's so many things that we want to sell in the area. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see all the things that we have to offer with good shots of them, you know, and the downtown area, everything that we have to offer to the person driving through.
I think that, I agree, goes on sort of I think there's a pyramid, right? So at the top of it, you have, you know, sort of your logo and your main messaging. Is the main messaging outdoor recreation, or is the main messaging, you know, is it outdoor recreation, arts and culture, history and architecture? I mean, what are those, what's our North Star of those three things? And then everything else kind of fits within that, so that if we're taking a picture of, you know, your new shop in the Champions building, sort of outside of it or down that main street, there's architecture there, but that's also showing the shopping, right? And so I think that's what I don't know, right?
Another thing that you probably don't know is the city of Trinidad owns Monument Lake, which is 36 miles away.
Yeah,
And that's.
I just learned that.
Did you? And I think that's a part of what I'd like to see in there also, you know.
So again, I think that gets to the micro, so is that part
Right.
of outdoor recreation,
Right.
and then what Trinidad and then our surrounding
I see,
areas
I
have?
see, and to build this pyramid and to add the things as to what I see what you're.
And then I wonder, like, with the logo, it's super cute, but it doesn't necessarily say tourism. And we frankly have the Eiffel Tower of Colorado behind us.
Right.
Right? And I know it gets somewhat overused, but I do wonder, do we want to reevaluate that logo with, you know, something that says outdoor recreation with something so iconic? I mean, if you, like, Moab uses Delicate Arch, right, out of Arches, if you've ever seen it, and I mean, it's a very iconic, any advertisement of Utah has it in it, but Moab in particular, because it is so iconic, and so it's.
So I'm for revamping the logo.
I mean, I think the logo is super cute.
I know Chris is, but
But I don't know.
I know I am, you know, for us to go along.
Keep
with
in mind, I still have probably a palette of visitor guides.
Yeah.
That's okay.
If we do need to-
It's gonna take some
Takes some
time.
It's gonna
Yeah.
take some time to come up with that idea, you know, so.
But I just think as we go into this, we need to have clear language to be able to communicate to whoever we bring on with this FTE about what our real goals are and what we want them to look like, and have an aesthetic conversation. And they can propose stuff for us. I mean, I think that's part of the process, right? But for us to really know, like, what's our North Star? What are the three main things in tourism that we want to focus on? You
Well,
know?
even if we do the pyramid and give it to them and the story,
Mhm.
and then we go from there.
I think it's gonna be, once we have somebody, it's gonna be a slow process. This is what I've learned about, you know, since I've been on board 2 years and watching in previous boards. I don't think we could sit down in a Saturday retreat or something and really come up with something. It's gonna take time for them to get kind of used to us. There's 5 people on this board, and there's, you know, 10 different ideas. And we almost need somebody to see those ideas and then take it and say, how do y'all feel about this one? And go slowly as we develop some of that. I don't think we have.
I think maybe we ought to start with like the mission statement again and really look at that and maybe use that as our guide to kind of go forward, so that we're not starting from zero, so that we are driving this versus being driven.
Right.
So if
Well, we have a mission statement.
Yeah,
We have those things.
But if we take, and if it's not too broad, I read it when I first came on and I don't remember, I apologize off the top of my head. But if we kind of start with some of that, and then that becomes, you know, the top of that pyramid or whatever to go forward, just so we have a focus, you know? And I agree it's a process, but I do think having some kind of, like, here's our map, and you could go anywhere in the entire country, but we know our destination is ultimately here.
Right.
So,
And
and there's lots of different ways to get there, but what's our destination?
And things are always changing, so we're gonna be able to build this in
Yeah.
the times that are changing with now. you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it will be, I mean, a living, breathing
Right.
process. And whoever comes on, hopefully will come on for longer periods of time so that, you know, it's not just a one job. I just feel like that would be helpful for us to be able to effectively communicate to this person. Because just looking through this deck, you know, when you're doing a logo for a band, they typically have a really clear identity of who they are and what they do. And so that logo represents that, you know, and some logos are really good because they really represent and show something, and others aren't because they weren't given enough direction. So. I mean,
Mr. Montoya has arrived early, so if you are ready for questions, and if not, if you want to continue reviewing the packet.
Well,
I need to step out too, if you'd like me to step out of the room.
Well, question,
Jeff, you wanna come up?
sure, if Jeff's gonna come up, he doesn't have the opportunity to see the other presentation. I don't know that it would make any difference, but
you want
well,
Jeff to step
I'm
out?
wondering if we should. I'm just the thoughts there. I don't really have a problem.
You want Jerry to step out while Jeff does his
No, I don't.
presentation?
I'm not saying I want him to. I'm
What
just.
do you want, Jeff? Oh, it doesn't bother me. All right.
They know each
Okay.
other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then don't worry about it.
Okay.
I just wanted to raise the questions.
Okay.
Ooh, the podium. Good to see you all this morning.
Salas, Jeff.
Well, let me pull out this stuff here. Do you mind if I move this laptop?
You go right.
Did you set it over here, Jeff?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I guess my first question for you, I was kind of listening in the last few minutes of what the scope of the project is. Like what, I know I read the RPF and you're looking for design work for your upcoming season, brochures and things like that, but it's a little more specific. I heard you mention you wanted to retool the logos, branding and stuff like that. Can you elaborate a little more on?
That's kind of down the road is what Dawn's talking about, you know, now is, we've always just wanted some direction as to when we do get an
I'm
ad.
so sorry.
As, we advertise in some magazines. So a lot of times, we've landed up with the same picture at different times. So, you know, that's what I would like to see is a little bit more different. You know, I know we only have the same thing to offer. You know, like the Blue Mansion seems to be one of the biggest things that we always put on, isn't it right, Marty?
Well, it
A
depends
lot of
on-
the Western
It depends
magazines,
on the medium, type of medium.
the Western magazines, you know, so it's just, there's so many architectural buildings around here, there's so many sites around here, you know, like the coke ovens, we have so many things here that I would like to see that, to show that we have to offer, you know.
Yeah, so,
I think when you look at the different magazine advertisements for Trinidad, they look different from one another, and there isn't a consistent thread through them. And I realize that sometimes they're for Western, sometimes they're for outdoor recreation, whatever, but there should still be a look and feel that's consistent, and then some kind of a template that you could put different photos or images in, but the ad itself has that consistency and that consistent feel and that consistent branding.
consistent branding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that we have a quarter ad, a half ad, a full page ad, you know, one that's for outdoor recreation, one that's for the West or Western history or what, I don't know what our goals are because.
Museums.
Yeah, for the cultural stuff, you know, but so that there's a feel and a look for across all platforms where there's consistency and some really professional looking products that are getting put out,
Engaging.
engaging,
Yeah.
and then, you know.
Just like the blues, the arcade, you know, all those things that we have going on. this rad bike rad fest that we have kind of building up now. We had a first year of it was really good, just a lot of those things, like that.
And some of the quirkiness, I think, of Trinidad that makes it really unique.
So to me, that's looking at your branding and figuring out who the target audience is. And so here's a little bit about my process, right, when it comes to those kind of things. Because you've already obviously got your own current logo, you've got some branding that you're working with, and the branding process is a long process, like you mentioned earlier, and it takes a while. So how do we work within what you currently have to reach the target audience that you've got? Here's my process. So what I would do is I would try to put together a group of, I don't know if you wanted the whole board or a smaller group of folks, maybe 2 or 3 people to kind of be the liaison with me to work with me. Then I would do what I call a discovery session. And so we would get together and we'd have a meeting and just try to define the brand, define who those customers are, who that audience is, and really dig into it. And what I do is I try to come up with 3 or 4 user profiles, like specific user profiles. Like this is, our big visitor is Jenny. Jenny is 35 years old. She's in this field. She does this. This is her kind of income. This is what she's into. She's into art or recreation. She's into live music. She's into breweries. She's into those kind of things. Create some user profiles as far as who the audience is, who you're capturing now, who you'd like to capture, and try to bridge that gap together. And it's kind of a long process. When I say long, I don't mean it's a super long process, but the way I like to do it is before I even start making any designs, I like to come up with what I call a couple style boards. And what I do is I go out and I'll look at a ton of reference material, which I've already been doing. I've looked at hundreds of city logos around the world over the last couple of weeks, and some of them are absolutely spot on. Some of them are absolutely not spot on. And, kind of looking at that, seeing what works, seeing what kind of aesthetics, some varieties, and put those in front of you to see what you like and see what you relate to, what calls out to you, and kind of start building the designs from there. Even within the current branding, because you've got a logo, and that logo screams architecture to me. I think it's a really good logo. Does it capture Trinidad? Not entirely, but it's a great logo. And it would work for a while. You retool if you wanted to do that. But as far as going through the process, build those profiles and, try to create material and content that those people can relate to, and that would get them excited when they come here. And that's my process. So we go through that, do the discovery phase, do some storyboards, style boards, put those in front of you, see what you like, and then that's when I start designing from there. When I've got an idea of your aesthetic and what you like, that we're in the right direction, that's when we start designing, because then we're not, making the process last too long, or we're bringing something in front of the board and saying, here's what it is. Do you like it? No, back to square one. When we start at square one, we know what the vision is. We know generally what the aesthetic is that we're looking for.
I think that's a good process, actually. Yeah. I mean, that's the process I've used with other designers on multiple occasions for various projects, and it worked really well. We ended up with something in the end that we really, really liked.
Yeah.
So
it's, when I first started doing this, I tried to go into every project kind of cold and just start with sketches. It doesn't work, and it takes a lot longer. So the research process is huge when it comes to design work, and especially branding and logos and things like that. I'm going to step back. I left my water bottle back here.
So I also see in here that you have a lot of digital background. I think who wasn't the person who was doing our website and our social media? She's the one who's stepping down, correct?
We have fulfilled, we've filled the position.
Okay. But maybe some content for that.
Yeah.
And you have, because building content for social media is a beast of a job.
Yeah.
Because it's constant.
And that's not something she does. by the way.
Oh,
So
create
she,
content.
yeah, she doesn't create the content, we give her the content.
Okay.
Yeah.
She implements it into the website.
Yeah,
We would hire.
and that's a big thing too, you know, as far as your branding, like it's gotta be consistent across all your mediums. Social media is the big thing. And, you know, just it's amazing what one photo with a little texture and your logo on it, with just a little catchphrase, just to keep their attention, you know, and absolutely, like, if you look at my social media for Pick and Wire Media, you know, every day, every other day, I try to post something, even if it's not, come and see what our services are. Like, I put up a cool little ad a couple weeks ago. It was just a video of a record tuning, and it said analog rules, because that's my philosophy. I love old school style of design and media, and, you know, little things like that go a long way because people connect to that. They're like, yeah, it does. You
Well,
know?
and I think little like 8-second videos for social media also are really powerful. You get a lot of engagement when you have video, although I'm for turning the sound. I was
Yeah.
just watching without sound.
Really, that's about as long as you want to go.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, you look at the analytics behind a lot of that stuff, and people don't watch much after, you know, 15, 16 seconds, you know,
But-
so.
Like the drone footage that Wally did of the bike up on Simpson's Rest. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was fantastic. It was a little long, but it was really cool, and it had, you know, drone over a bicyclist going up to the top of Simpson's Rest. And I thought it really showed off Trinidad really beautifully. I think they did a really good job, you know, but to even just splice a little bit of the bike at the top of Simpson's Rest or a little bit of it here or there for those 8-second reels, you know, that can go a long way.
Yeah.
There's also digital billboard that the tourism board does in Monument.
It's at the, right before the port of entry on the, coming down the south end.
Right,
It's
so
a
there's-
digital one,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
So there's that. There's also a static billboard. There's probably 6 to 8 different magazines, print magazines that the tourism board utilizes annually that have been proven successful. They generate a number of reader leads in the process. So there's a National Parks magazine. There's True West magazine, which is the Western demographic, old school Western. There's there's outdoor recreation magazines. There's Colorado Life, several different. So the demographic will change with the type of magazine that it is. There's also Facebook and the website, and there's, you know, so there's different mediums that you'll be designing for.
Well, yeah, and, you know, keeping the branding consistent across all those things, but being versatile yet consistent is a big thing, and I can definitely help you there. Do you have any other questions for me? I want to make sure I address all of your questions.
I have a question probably for Marty. Do we also have a budget for merchandise that you sell in the visitor's guide that's branded for Trinidad and things like that?
I have a travel shop at the Welcome Center, but it's budgeted. It perpetuates itself. So I started with a budget of $5,000, and that's it. It doesn't get renewed.
And you're buying already printed stuff, we haven't designed anything of
We
our
have
own.
not designed anything of our own.
So on that note, this is a piece that I designed last week. I'm donating it to the Coal Miners Museum. It's of Louis Tikas, the Ludlow organizer. So as far as like merchandising and stuff like that, definitely good with t-shirt designs and poster designs and stuff like that. So we can definitely do those kind of things. Kind of let everyone easy out.
Oh, I saw it.
So if anybody wants to take a closer look at it, you're welcome to.
He was a union leader, and he represented the Greek community here.
Okay. I have a book for Ludlow on my
Oh, dear.
nightstand that I haven't picked up yet.
Yeah, so, you know, a little bit more about myself. I know a lot of you. I've never met the two of you before, so it's a pleasure to meet you. I grew up here in town. My family is all from here. I love the area. My fiance and I, we live most of the time in Denver. We split the time down here, especially in the summertime. We're planning on moving down here around September, October, full time, so can't wait for that. I love the area. I love the imagery. I love the folklore of the Trinidad area. And it's a very rich thing that you can use in your designs as far as storytelling, because really, at the end of the day, what is graphic design? It's communicating visually with people. And, you know, the imagery around here is so rich that there's so much that you can do with that. And, you know, I feel like I've got, you know, the ability to be able to take those things and put them into visual assets and print assets that you could use. So, you know, I would love to work on this project with you.
Do you have a staff, or is it just you?
Just myself. For about 8 years, I worked for the Colorado state government. And my fiance and I have gotten engaged, and after COVID, I kind of came to the realization, you know, I'm a creator. I like to make things. And I went all in on this business. And, you know, I started out doing this to support my own band. That's how I started doing this. I had a band, and we needed graphic design and videography work, and we got tired of outsourcing it to folks that we didn't know. And so, you know, around 2016, I started learning how to do these kind of things and realized that it was something that I loved to do and wanted to keep doing it. And so here I am.
And I assume it outlasted the band.
The band is still going. It's been pretty dormant since COVID. Don't know really what's going to happen with it, but we're still making music. We're still jamming from time to time. In Denver. In Denver, yeah. We haven't played a gig since 2019, but.
I managed a few bands that if they hadn't played a gig since 2019, they probably wouldn't know each other.
Yeah, so as far as like what ideas that I have, you know, really, like I said, focusing on who the audience is, you know. I mean, to me, I look at Trinidad and I see a huge opportunity for your outdoor recreation folks, for your history buffs, and for your people who just like cool culture. You know, like I see Trinidad very similar to, you know, like a town like Taos, you know, that would attract, you know, people who enjoy art. And, you know, so I would pivot, you know, toward the recreational side, the art and culture, and the heritage. You know, there's good history here, there's good heritage, and there's ways to put that across visually in graphic design that's really effective.
Well, I mean,
You growing up here like me, and there's more people now stopping than ever and staying. And we want to catch that many more.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if you know this, the two biggest ports of entry into the state of Colorado are this I-25 and DIA. That's the two biggest ports of entry into.
That is
So
surprising.
we need to catch a bigger portion of what's going north on I-25.
well, and I
You
think
know, so
there is an element of Trinidad that's kind of quirky and cool,
Yeah.
and I don't see that being captured in much of the like media and advertising. And I don't know that Trinidad sees itself as very cool, right? But there's a lot of people who do. There's a lot of buzz about this town right
Yeah.
now. You know, and every time I go to Denver, everybody's like, so what's going on in Trinidad? And like the biggest hipsters that I know, and I'm in the booze business, so I know a lot of hipsters, are ask me every time I'm there, like, what's going on down there? You know, oh, I think we're thinking about maybe buying a house or somewhere in the area.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of this cool vibe happening. And I do think, you know, the Cartopia is, of course, I think the biggest example of that. But, you know, when you walk down the street and you look at the small things and the small details, I think it's really easy to capture the beauty of this town and some of those quirky pieces that are really fun too, because I think some fun would be really nice in whatever we do.
Yeah.
You know, and not take ourselves quite so seriously all the time.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, like you mentioned, those folks up north that ask about it, I hear it all the time too. There's a good portion of your audience right there, you know, connecting to those folks. You know, about the tourism that comes through here. Where are they coming from? Do we know?
Well, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma. You know, this is like the open gate to the ski resorts. Spring break, they're just come through here and they're heading to the ski resorts.
But those are the
You
people
know.
driving through, but
Right.
how about the people who are coming here as a destination?
Well, but
Yeah.
the people are driving to
They're
do stop
stopping.
for a couple of days.
They're stopping now.
And they will stop even to take lunch and walk our street.
Sure.
And then they move on. The
Yes.
people that are coming down from Denver, I agree with you, Colorado Springs, spend the night and then go back home. They do, they get out of their big cities. So I think it's.
You even get a lot of people from Amarillo.
Oh, but
You
on
know,
that
day
note, we
trippers.
have always got people from Amarillo, Texas, Amarillo and Lubbock. Wait, for a long time, I've been seeing those people come.
And those are
And
good
just like-
people down there in there.
And just-
They are good people.
That's where you're from.
Well, you know, think of another place, like you mentioned earlier, Monument Lake was owned by the city of Trinidad. Where else is there a town that's in, Trinidad's right here on the edge of the plains has a resort just 40 minutes away.
Right.
Denver owns Winter Park, or at least they used to.
Right, but, a small town like this that's got that, that small town charm and, that's accessible where you can breathe.
And two state parks.
Two state parks, Trinidad's in such a position to thrive with tourism. So you've got a lot of assets.
When I first started researching where I was gonna retire and go to and not do anything, it didn't work. But, I didn't see Trinidad as a destination. But always driving through here, I saw it as a stop, maybe spend the night. I think we're starting to get to the point that we can be a destination. We're not quite there yet, but when you got two state parks and resort and some things we're doing, I think it's getting there. Now, that was just my observation when I was looking at places to go. I still don't think we're totally, like, okay, hey, let's take a vacation, we're going to Trinidad.
But I think there's more.
And
and
on
more.
my note, on my note as a shop downtown, I do see that on a regular
Are you
basis.
seeing it?
On a regular basis. What are you doing here? We just came for the weekend to Trinidad.
Yeah,
Now,
well,
whether they're coming for pot,
and
I
See, and
don't, I
that's- and that's a-
literally,
That's a part.
I
of it,
literally
you know.
don't ask that question, okay? I just said, where are you coming? We're here for the weekend. And I've been seeing that for a long time. So people are coming here, San Antonio, south of San Antonio, I get that all the time.
And the biggest indicator for me is the motels are showing that. They're, any given day, they're filled up. And even the smallest ones on Main Street.
Yeah.
They're booking people.
Well, and I use all the trails all the time. I'm hiking all the time, and I love them because there's almost nobody on them. But when I ask people, because I talk to everybody, what they're doing in town, they're inevitably coming typically from north of here, from Colorado Springs or Denver, or maybe Fort Collins even, and they're camping or they're staying here for a couple of days and they're biking and they're hiking, and they spend money in town, and so I think that's something that we need to.
It's just like Marty, she had gotten a call from the gentleman who had the board in Monument. 650,000 people a week travel between Springs and Denver. So you can imagine how many people are looking at that billboard at the bottom of that.
We did a visitor profile study.
Yeah.
And we found that the second highest visitation to Trinidad was from north.
Yeah.
So Denver and those areas. And it increased exponentially because of COVID. But Colorado Tourism Office was actually pushing for Colorado residents to visit their own state and stay within their state during that period of time. So that was a time of discovery.
Yeah.
So a lot of those people that were, upstate discovered Trinidad and now they're back.
Right.
Now that COVID's not there. They also discovered that they liked outdoor recreation, so it was something that they never did before. They did, that was what people did during COVID. It's like they went places where there wasn't a lot of people.
Right.
And so, they could distance that way, and they discovered Trinidad. So, COVID in that respect was actually a positive for us because it did introduce a lot of the people within the state to the smaller rural areas, and we were one of them. I'm the manager at the Welcome Center, and so one of the things that we do is engage our visitors in conversation when they come in. They don't just walk in and grab a map and walk out. We ask them where they're from, we get their zip code, and then, what are you doing in town? And we send them into town. these are the restaurants you can visit, these are the hotels that you can go to. We have a visitor guide that we give them, and it helps them navigate the city for whatever reason, whatever their interests are. So visitation within the state to Trinidad as a destination has changed in the last 2 years.
It's changed people's palates in a good way, I think. A lot of people are a lot more anxious to go out, and we'll get over that. But like you said, people are like, maybe I'm an outdoor recreation kind of person when they didn't realize that before. I'll tell you what, the first live music show I went to after things opened up again, I've never seen people so ecstatic to be listening to live music. It's like, wow, we took this for granted for so long that we could just go out and hear a band play until we couldn't anymore. And, I've never seen a crowd so rowdy covered with their faces covered with masks. It was cool. And like you said about people coming from up north and that data, and Camilla, what you were saying earlier, people ask, is it pot related? No, that tells you it's not pot related. You see all these people.
They're already from Denver and Spring.
Yeah.
They don't need us.
They can get it up there too from the
That's
same
right.
couple of the same stores that are here. So. And I've had that conversation with people too. They're like, Trinidad's booming because of pot. And it's like, no, Trinidad's booming because Trinidad's awesome. Like, pot is all around the state, and the testament to how awesome this town is look at the people from up north that are moving here. And
From all over.
And not only are they moving here, they're investing in the town. That's why I'm coming back. I want to contribute here. I want to help my community. I was raised by Trinidad. I love it here, and I want to help people know how awesome it is down here.
I love seeing adults who are raised here come back. I keep meeting people who've moved back in the last few years who were born and raised here, and I think that is incredibly special because most of Colorado, that doesn't happen anymore because it's too unaffordable for people to come back. And I hope the town creates some policies to keep its residents and maintain them so they don't get pushed out. Because to be able to have a town you can make a living in and come back to is really, really important as a parent. To me, that's really important.
One of the things is the Santa Fe Trail. I worked for UPS for 35 years. When they first built Santa Fe Trail, we were up there maybe an hour or 2 hours a day delivering. We're now up there 7.
Really?
That's where UPS is delivering. And the whole county, this whole county, I think they're at 12 package drivers now. And when I went into the package division, we had 5.
Wow.
So that alone tells you the volume of what's coming into Trinidad and the area.
It also speaks a lot to more people are ordering online as well, so that's.
And not only that, a lot of people are working from home now that can move here. They can be with a corporation and move here. My son-in-law is building a home for someone in Wet Canyon, and she's an executive in a bank in New York.
You know what I found very interesting being at my work is the people that are coming to Trinidad to shopping for the day, grocery store, walking the town. From Aguilar and Walsenburg, they have bought the property. And I think we sometimes forget that we are the biggest town for those towns that are coming here. I've met some people, a lot of people that live in that area out of Aguilar and Walsenburg that come to Trinidad.
I just want to say I'm real glad Jerry didn't leave because all this discussion is general.
We don't have to do it again.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Or we could continue it.
Jeff, here's the latest thing we had just put together for the motels. It's a key card.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So just kind of a thing for when they come in to things that are going on in the community, and Marty had put this together.
It follows the design for, I don't know if I have one, the visitor guide.
Yeah.
So, so it's a continuum of that design.
We're trying to be consistent.
I was looking for some of the stuff Jared was doing for us also, but I must have left it in that other notebook of mine. Do you have anything?
I have them.
You have.
I just kept it separate so we don't get confused.
Okay.
So any other questions for Jeff? Anything else you need to add, Jeff?
No, I just want to make sure, any questions you have are answered. And, if you have any other further questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to work with you all on this project, and I'm very confident that I can do a really good job for you. Does anybody have any other questions about my qualifications, any reservations that you might have that I could address?
Are you self-taught?
Yes, I am. So I went to school for commercial music almost half a lifetime ago, and did that. And I took this on as like a hobby, and it became something that I love. Being that I am self-taught, though, I've taken lots of courses. I've done a different method of training myself for this. I didn't go back to school. I didn't want to rake up more debt. So, I took a lot of courses on like Skillshare, gone to a lot of seminars and things like that. Most of it online. And really it's been practice, over the past, 6 years. And it's been a lot of fun, and I've come a long way since I first got started. It's only getting better.
Do you have any other pro bono clients?
Yeah,
Think about that.
let me discuss that with my attorney.
That's it, Jeff.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jerry, get out of your way here.
Jeff will be in touch.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
I want to shake your hands, but I don't know if that's
Give us a bump.
okay.
We're okay with everything, Jeff. It's all.
That's the only thing I haven't gotten used to again is like that kind of stuff. But be some bumps.
I know the
Take
hug.
care of yourself, my mama. Hello.
Okay, I will.
Are you leaving town today?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Jerry's coming by
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Jeff, nice seeing you.
Jerry, always a pleasure.
And I'll actually just.
if I see you again- Jeff, we'll talk about band. I used to book and manage bands
Oh, nice.
down in Dallas.
I love chatting.
That was
Chatting.
one of my previous lives.
So I'm gonna give these to you so you can just hold them up and you can see again rather than pass them around.
Yeah, good. Well, first of all, let me say hello to Don. I've never met you before.
Hi, how are you?
It's nice to meet you, and of course I know everybody else. Hope you're all doing well. You talked about the logo a lot. I wanted to show you one of our old posters. Just stop here a second. From 2017, this was an old tourism board logo right here.
Yeah, that says a lot.
You know, the photo can say a lot.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's what I mean, yeah.
And putting Fisher's Peak in the background, it's like having the Mount Rushmore or whatever, it's our monument for Trinidad. And certainly is important. But one word of caution about the logo, that's your identifier. We have, I don't dislike the logo that we have now, but it's decent. And if you see on my cover letter, I did add the little visit in there. So, you might want to maybe just improve the logo that you have, because that's what people are looking at now. Every time you change it, then, oh, what's this? We'll pass it. Let's grab it too. Let's start with this one. This is advertising from 2019 for the Blues Fest. And if you look through here, like what page would be the ad, and then if I have it, there'll be a tear sheet for the actual magazine. Blues Fest guide. And then there's the actual Blues Fest guide that has the ad in it, and that's the way the rest of them are as well. And consistency is certainly very important. when somebody opens a magazine and they see your logo, they say, oh, Trinidad. You wanna see that all the time. And, like I say, I can't disagree with anything that Jeff said as far as developing a concept, identify your demographics. And, another subject you talked about was billboards. And, since the board comes home and talks about tourism quite often, I don't know if she's brought any of my opinions to the meeting, but no. You're driving by a billboard at 70, 80 miles an hour, you can't put 100 things on that billboard. Or nobody's gonna see it, know what it is, or no one's even gonna look at it. It needs to say Trinidad, Colorado, and maybe something on there, a logo or something, but that's about it. I haven't seen what you're talking about at Monuments.
It's got Fisher's Peak and
Fisher's
Trinidad.
Peak, I've seen.
Trinidad in red and Fisher's Peak. And it's
That's
pretty
what-
awesome.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
I would also caution you about using red. Red is not a good color for advertising. I discovered that early on.
Just the peak gets your attention.
Oh, that's, like I
And
said,
I mean, it's,
that's Trinidad's
I mean,
knight in shining armor right there is Fisher's
do you know
Peak.
what the size of that board is? Cause it's,
Not right off.
I mean, when that peak comes on there, it's all the colors. It's an awesome picture because all of the colors just pull it up. Blue sky, the peak, it just pulls it all up.
Right? And pretty much everything we do for Trinidadio has the Trinidadio logo on it. Here's our sponsor appreciation that we hand out to sponsors. Postcards are all well adorned with the Trinidadio logo. Oftentimes we do these save the date postcards and like you're handing out for the hotels, that is our biggest item for advertising for the Blues Fest is postcards. I do about 20,000 postcards a year just for Blues Fest, and it far outdoes any type of magazine ads or radio or television ads in the West. I've also done little brochures for the fest. As you can see, this one from 2017 still has the old logo, and then we put our other sponsor logos on the back, and a little bit about the bands on the inside.
What's your experience with digital media?
You mean as far as websites and whatnot?
Which is social media and
Oh,
creating
social
content for
media,
that?
I honestly don't have anything to do with Facebook or, well, that's it, I do our website, but Facebook, I leave that to his wife and my wife.
But how about creating content for it or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, I send them things to put on. I mean, I do, like I said, I've done all the graphic arts for the Blues Fest, for advertising for our merchandise. Previous to that, I was in real estate and did all the display ads for real estate.
How about for like video and for like the moving billboards, the things that move and the technological components there?
I haven't seen a moving billboard yet. I do, I mean, I don't think that's any big deal. I do a 30-second commercial, TV commercial for Trinidadio. And that's as far as my TV stuff goes, but like I said, I've maintained that website since 2009.
Is that the Curly's beads?
Well, I did put that one up too, but Trinidadio.com or TrinidadioBluesFest.com. Has any questions? As far as pro bono clients, I have Curly's Beads. And a couple of them. Trinidad Blues Fest, you know.
Did you do something for Sister Blandina Park?
I haven't actually created any graphics for them. I did do prints and posters for them, and redid one of their posters. And then, of course, on our front of our new shop, I put a Sister Blandina thing there saying that the gift shop is coming.
He's got a huge printer. And he's printing himself.
Yeah, and you know, if you need large format posters, I can certainly do those. I guess I should probably have one in the truck now. It's 36 by 54 that I just printed for the Blues Fest. I'll be hanging that up.
What size?
36 by 54. I can print up to 44 inches wide.
I have a question, Jerry. What is your pricing? How do you base your pricing? Is it a per hour? Is it a flat rate?
It's on my letter, cover letter there.
It's at the bottom paragraph 1.
Thank you.
And you know, like that says, you call me up and say, I want to do this, that, or the other, you know, until I figure out what it is. I'm not going to charge you for trying to decide what you need. But, yeah, like, you know, like Jeff said, you need to identify what concept you're trying to get across to people. And of course, demographics, that's the first thing you have to identify. And for Trinidad, it has a pretty wide demographic. You know, we do fill the hotels for Blues Fest, and the age range on that, I'd say, is from 20, 25 to 65, 70. I have to say at least 70s, since I'm 70. But yeah, everybody, you see everybody and their dog at the Blues Fest, so it's a wide range. And there's so much in Trinidad to attract a wide demographic. It's great. I moved here in 1977. I was 25, almost 26 years old at the time. And never looked back. I could care less about moving out of Trinidad. Any other questions? Tommy?
I already see all the work that you've done in all the years that I've known you.
But, and actually, if you want printing done, I can do that for you as well. These posters right here, I have a printer out of Texas. I get these done for about $1 a piece.
What part of Texas?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It's in the middle part somewhere. It's down around Dallas, Fort Worth somewhere. But great prices. And yeah, I do postcards there too. I think for 10,000 postcards is about $350. And that's about 40% of what District Print charges on their good days.
Okay,
All
thank you,
right.
Jerry.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
Appreciate
your
it.
time.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you. That's funny.
Actually, the discussion would have to be between Dawn and Chris.
Okay, so I could be, thank you. Gonna go to work.
One on
You
Tom.
don't need it for
The one on Tom.
This Tom's related to Jerry.
Not really.
Well,
I'm not.
Camilla.
Not really. He's
Not
married to
really.
my sister-in-law.
Well,
I'm related to both of them through in-laws.
Through
Yeah.
in-laws.
Jeff's.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Yeah, Jeff, he's related to Jeff too, so he's walking out on both of them.
Wait a minute, I did not know that.
You did not know that?
How?
Joe Montero is your dad's first cousin. Or your grandfather's
Yeah.
first cousin.
Yeah.
Well, I think you need to stay up too.
Yeah, that's a little farther out, I think.
This can't wind down to two people on the board. I realize we need to do it now, but
Well, maybe better call Si.
Couldn't make it.
Couldn't make it. We'll see you.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
since you've got both, Tom, relation to both, I think we need to discuss kind of what we need. I know it's hard.
You know, and that,
I
and that's,
think
and
it's okay
that's,
for, I think it's okay for you to dismiss yourself, because you were so close to that, right?
I'm so close to that.
Yeah.
And he's related to both of them, so he's got an open mind on everybody.
Yeah.
see, the thing of it with me is I've been looking for this for a long time. So, I know that this is not the way I wanted it to go, but that's the way it landed up,
Can I tell you something, Don? Jeff's mother is I was on our board of the Booth Fest. Okay, it's a tiny web.
I know.
Okay.
The town is a tiny one.
It's a tiny web, sweetheart. But I think I will dismiss and let you talk, because I don't want you guys to feel offended. I'm up in the air on this. I will not be offended at all. I just want you to know I love my board. I love my
part of the
town.
process.
I love both of these people are very good. So you guys just carry on, okay? Because I don't want you to feel that you gotta hold back. Goodbye, I'm going to work. Thank you guys all.
Thanks, Camilla.
As soon as I find my keys, goodbye.
Thank you, Camilla.
So are you gonna stay?
Remember,
I
if
think
you
we
need
decided
help,
that you
Bob.
should stay.
I wish you'd stay.
Huh? You need help,
Oh, to move? No, I should put it out.
If
No,
you-
thank you though.
I was telling
Yeah,
Tom,
no,
if you leave, you've got the two newest members, so there's no history of things to even consider. I really think you should stay. You've got enough relation with both of them. Like I said, it's small towns.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, I talked with Dawn, and I just feel it's not the way I wanted it to go.
What?
Because
How did you want it to go?
I think a little bit more experience with a lot of things is what I would have liked.
More than both of them. Yeah, I have the same thing. That was one of the things I was gonna bring up. What if we decide neither one of them?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
I mean, I think they both could add.
They can reapply and you could redo it again, is the way it can go,
Yeah.
Marty, how does that happen? Perhaps?
we submit another RFP,
Right.
which is gonna put you back another
But
probably
here's-
2 months in ads, and you have ads coming up.
Well,
The thing
we
of
need
it
to
is,
just
we
go
could-
forward
we
like
could-
we were.
We could make it through with those ads. We've been doing it now for how many years?
I've been providing you with ads for 3
My
years.
thing is I would like to see us get,
Can we seek out some designers? I mean, I've worked with 3 or 4 different graphic design
it's how far
companies,
you take this.
but they're not here, so I don't know. I mean,
Well, see, I've worked with some in Amarillo that are 10 times what these guys were. And,
Well, this is what we get. because
I don't
we're
know
a
how
small
far out-
community, If we were in Denver, you would probably have more.
I
You
personally
know what I
think
mean?
Jeff has some skills that are better, for sure.
Mhm.
I think Jerry's lack of any digital skills and printing everything is a big
Yeah.
sign that that's not the way we should go.
You know.
And I think his aesthetic is really dated, at least what he showed us. I don't know what kind of original design work he's done. I think he's printed and put together. Maybe he's done it, but it wasn't really.
Whatever, the one thing about him, whatever he tackles at, he stays on task until he produces this is what he's looking for himself.
But postcards and posters aren't what we need. Right? We need
We
magazine
need a full-
advertising, we need a full
We need a
campaign.
full range of many things.
Yeah.
who does Parks, Jared, who's he use?
In what sense?
The ads?
Abe Designs, and Abe actually was sent an RFP. Abe is who produced the billboards for the outdoor recreation.
Oh, okay.
That had the runners and the kayakers.
Right,
and
right.
So he did, he was given an RFP.
Uh-huh.
He did not meet the deadline.
Oh, I see.
I took the initiative and gave him an extra week, and he did not meet that either. So
He did not want it, or?
I think he's not, I don't want to say he's not,
Does he feel that he's
He
not
doesn't have a shit.
qualified?
well, basically, he
You know,
just didn't respond in time. And I mean, if you extend a deadline by a week, which was really unfair to anybody else.
Yeah.
here's a
It was
discussion
not.
that I would like to see with all of us is, what do you want? What do you want? What do I want? What does Camilla want? What does Cy want? You know, we all, 5 of us want different things. We all do. You know, we all do. We
But
want
you have to
you-
reach a consensus and
Right,
decide what it is you
right.
do.
But see, we all want, but if you have that consensus of all 5 of us, then that comes to the consensus of what we're all looking for.
Well-
5 different opinions, 5 different people looking for different
Well, I
things.
think that's why if we have a little workshop where we really talk about what is our North Star,
Right.
kind of what are the main goals of what we're looking for. The other thing is, what I've learned with graphic designers is that there are some that are creators and then there's some that are technocrats. And the technocrats can execute a design if you tell them exactly what you
Right.
want,
To
how you
do.
want it, but they are not creative and they're not gonna be visionary. We have to tell them what they want and they will
Right.
put it together,
Right.
right? And then there's others that actually can do the creative process as well, that you can talk to them and communicate with them, and then they can create. And I think, and I'm so new here that I don't know that my opinion matters much, but I do think having somebody on that creative side to re-envision the aesthetic is really important, and somebody who's younger, because the people who are coming here spending money, that's not to say seniors don't spend money, because they have some usually expendable income, but I do think there's this like hip, cool factor here, and I think that would be something that's really important to tap into.
We ought to be able to have some, that would, all the artists and all this creative stuff that is coming here, that we're magnet for, there ought to be what you just described, out walking the street.
But a fine artist is different than a graphic artist and what they do. in
But
Belmont.
they do
Here's
have a
another thing
relationship.
that we had done. We done someone to do some photographs for us, right, Marty? And we didn't even have a good response to that.
Yeah.
You know, so I know that for us to get for what we want to sell Trinidad with is like all the things you're talking about. Someone who can take our idea and run with it and say, here's what I come up with you
Can we
by
see-
your idea.
Can we
you know.
seek out a few, like, so I personally have worked with a company called the Made Shop that did a bunch of projects for the Distillers Guild that I spearheaded, and they were really good and really easy to work with and very creative and really listened to a vision. They're not super cheap, they weren't crazy expensive. I also worked with Karsh-Hagen, which is a big firm. They do a lot of stuff for the Department of Tourism and for the state of Colorado. They were a lot slower to work with me because I think I was a very small, like, they like projects like me.
They do big.
Because we give them some like street cred about something cool, but they do mostly big projects. But they do take on a lot of towns and tourism stuff. You know, could we send the RFP directly to a few firms?
I think it would be better if you did not create an RFP.
Okay.
I think you should, this is my
Seek out
suggestion. I think you should research some graphic design companies, come back to the table with this, or, get some information from them, their costs, et cetera, and then sit down and look at that on your own without an RFP, because an RFP puts you in a box. I mean, you have a certain location that
where
you
we're
can
at
reach
today.
out to. You have, there were actually 6 different individuals that requested the RFP. I sent it to them and they did not respond. So either what you're asking for, the scope of work, did not fit what they could provide, but they didn't respond.
I think it's also a whole, it's a complicated process in and of itself, right? And so if somebody hasn't done it that way before, that's also intimidating, correct?
Right. So if you
So-
get away from the RFP and then seek out these professionals.
So when
And
we
you can
were
do
with
it something
Studio
like that.
6, I know they were a ridiculous price company that were.
They responded to an RFP.
They
There were 6 that responded to that RFP.
And you never got no response from Studio 6.
On this project,
Yeah,
they
right.
did not respond.
So when we were with them, Marty, they designed one of our guides, right?
The original
The original
visitor
guide,
guide, yes.
And we submitted everything to them. Or
We,
did they come down?
no, they were here.
They were here.
They spent a lot of time. That's who designed your
Right.
logo and your
Right.
visitor guide and your, all that stuff.
Mhm.
The city logo, in fact.
And that city logo, that's when Jonathan was on, that's who they met with.
Right.
They met with Jonathan.
Right.
And that logo was developed by Jonathan and that group.
Right, that was
Right.
a larger project. That was an entire city project.
Right.
So I have a question. If we were to get a firm to design the templates and do a design deck for us with what the aesthetic would look like and the logo and the texts, the fonts and all of those, and then we could hire somebody like Jeff to fill in for the smaller pieces, somebody who's local to take the photos and to fill in with those smaller pieces to put into the templates that are created. Would that be
Well-
a possibility?
I like the template.
Stretching your budget a little bit.
in
Yeah.
a
But I
in a
think-
package, but that we could use, and then, it would make it easier for you to
Right.
throw in some things, because it's set and do it. I don't know that we'd have to hire anybody else, but
But
maybe that's what we
to
need
keep
is
creating content, and creating content is ongoing, so I do think you still need to have somebody, at least on a per diem basis, that goes out and, for the different festivals and for the
Right.
different.
Well, you think of
pieces.
all the things that we have to offer. That's what we need a portfolio of.
Yeah.
And then we go from there as to something coming up, Jeff, can you go do this? Or somebody, or even Jerry, can you go do this? Can you take
Most of
this?
the templates probably won't use a lot of photographs, right? They'll do some great
Right.
imagery and some graphics and whatnot, but then the photos are for the social media and for, all of the other pieces. In some photos, maybe for some of the ads, it just depends on what that aesthetic looks like.
I'm not sure we would have the budget to have, didn't have somebody go and take the photos. We also
We
have
have
5
a large
people.
library of photos.
Yeah, we've got that,
One-
plus we've got 5 people here in Marty that
One of the
can
things,
capture some of the pictures. If we have
I'm a
Just-
decent photographer, but I'm not a professional photographer.
Well,
I was in real
just-
estate for a long
We
time.
have a
The
large
difference
file
between
of
mine and
photos.
somebody else's are
just to let you know, this is where our money's to be spent, is
Yeah.
on advertising.
Yeah.
This is where our money's supposed to go, is to sell Trinidad. So with the VBROs that are coming on, we're getting more tax money. We can increase that budget. We can do that. Because that's basically when this tourism board was voted in, it was for advertising for Trinidad. And we're getting more events, Martin. We're growing.
I think it
Things are growing that we have to sell. So naturally, that budget's gonna grow because there's more things coming. Look at the Rap Fest did.
Right, now keep in mind, that the Rad Fest they do their own advertising.
Right.
Trinidad Blues Fest is one of our other big ones. They do their own advertising. We don't need to duplicate what's already
No.
being done.
No, but we need to
but-
advertise Trinidad as a destination,
Right.
right?
You
And I
know.
think it's worth us investing
Mhm.
in that really high quality design, advertisement, image that we're giving to the world
Right, be professional.
and be really professional because, I don't know how you do it because it is hard. It's really hard. I
And she
create tons
gets
of content.
frustrated, I think you get frustrated at times because we come back and tell her, well, we don't like that one, and so,
But to
okay, but she goes back and tackles it, so.
and I have so much respect for that. It's a lot. And I think, really coming up with a really good design deck and a really good message and image, messaging is so important. And nobody in town can tell me what the North Star is of town. I keep asking, so what is our goal as a town? What is our goal?
And I think,
Well,
And I know that's
think.
big and that means different things to different people, but I do feel like city
That's
council
true.
members should be able to say, they should have an elevator pitch of what Trinidad is about and what our goals are as a town. And I don't know that they do.
Here's one of the things that I've kind of been involved with just lately, and I see some things coming out of it, is the Greenway Foundation coming here. I don't know, have you gone to any of the meetings that they've had? there's just so much potential that's gonna develop when the Greenway Foundation, if it comes to fruition. You see how it is down there by REI. It's, the Greenway Foundation is the one who developed that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So the Greenway Foundation is gonna be a huge asset to this community as to what's gonna happen. The other thing I was involved with was the traffic study, as a design as to how they're moving traffic into the city and around to different parts of the city. And to me, I think that's an exciting thing that's gonna happen, because there's so many frustrations in getting from one part of Trinidad to the other part. So there's I see that on the city council, they have a bigger plate as to where they're at.
Infrastructure.
And now in the middle of all of that, we have Trinidad State Park. You know, what's happening up there on exit 11. And I've been part of what's going on with Parks and Rec is developing that. And what's gonna happen up there off of the County 69.3, that's gonna be the new direction to the state park. You know, the new road that they're gonna develop. You know where the sign is for where the Highway of Legends is? There, that's gonna be extended all the way to exit 8.
On the west side.
Well, the master plan
Right.
will be announced, I think it's
It's
next week
April
or
11th.
something, so.
Yeah, so if you have a chance to go to that, you'll see all the, you know, what their ideas are. But there's really a lot of direction as to where the city council is going, as to where the city is going, you know.
So can we reach a consensus then on what direction you want to go to so that we can just kind of move on?
Reject them both, and
So you will
simply
need
because it's not
to,
gonna fit our needs, and
so you have to call the regular meeting to order with the three of you and actually make a vote.
So then, if we do
So
reject,
we're already in for the regular meeting, aren't we?
So you're still in the
Are we in
work session, so you have to go into the regular meeting and then you have to vote.
And that's not on this one, right?
It's on your agenda.
yeah, it's at the top, it says it's both.
Okay. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting for the Trinidad Tourism Board on March 29th at 10:14. You want to take roll?
Campbell? Kress?
Here.
Michaels? Miller?
Here.
Richardson?
here,
So then we'll need a motion from somebody to do whatever you're doing.
I make a motion that we reject both of the RFPs and explain to them that it's not really the direction, or I need to find a nice way to say it, that they were both good, very much qualified, but we don't see what we need.
Second,
second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Sound good with you two?
I want to see more billboards.
So what do we do then,
We need some on
if we don't do these two? I'm sorry. I know this is a lot, I apologize. So if we don't see these two, so then what do we do next?
I'm gonna go down and talk to Cheryl and find out if we can actually just do what I suggested.
Okay.
And just seek out some professionals and
All right.
No.
And then maybe what we will need to do after you've identified some professionals, then we might have to do an RFP, but at least you'll have some identified already, pre-RFP, so to speak. So you kind of already have an idea of who you're looking at, rather
you
than
think
waiting for somebody to come to the table.
Do you think there was an RFP when they sought out Studio 6?
Yes, there was.
There was?
Yeah.
So was there a more specific thing that they were asking for?
I'm not sure what
Is there
the
any way
process
we
they
could-
used was.
Is there any way we could pull up those minutes or no as to? when they-
Actually, I think I might have the files with those respondents to that RFP, if you want to go that direction.
the RFP that we put out here was, I saw it, but now I don't remember it. Was it really broad, or were we more specific in our scope?
We were very specific.
Okay.
The scope of work was very
Very
defined.
specific. And then is there anything in there about the possibility of retaining them for ongoing projects?
Yes, I was.
Because I thought maybe it was just too broad or maybe not specific enough.
No,
or-
it was pretty specific.
We're done.
Yep.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 10:17.
10:17.
Well, back to square one.
Okay, so real quick question for you. So there are a couple of ads coming up. Do
So we
you want to
just-
throw some ideas?
What are
on
they
it?
on?
Colorado Life is one that you did almost every month or every other month.
Okay.
There's, who else is coming up? So,
Can you
New
put-
Legends Magazine, their deadline was last week.
So we
He
missed
can
theirs.
design his own for you, though, if you give him specifics on what you want the ad to look like. He designs it for free. But that, nobody responded to that email.
Okay, so
So-
I did.
You did.
I said, thank you.
You did. But that didn't give me any direction.
we'll just, he has a lot. So would.
His next one, I think his next deadline is in June.
So it
So you
should
might have a little
should
bit
be a
of time on
summer, something summer?
It is a summer, it's 3 months of the summer.
Okay,
So he does January, February, March, April, May, and June, July, August, September, et cetera.
Okay.
If you want to renew the billboard, now's the time to renew that billboard,
Which one is that?
the monument
Yeah, we need,
billboard. Or you can let it play whatever it's got on it. It's
how about,
entirely up to you. And the other one that's coming up is Certain Fish Magazine.
how about if we put something of, that picture that's on our, key card? And did he take the key card?
Oh, yeah, that's the one that's on the visitor guide.
Right.
Right? You want that one on the digital, it's not,
It's not wide enough?
well, this is you're
Yeah.
talking about a landscape versus,
Right, right.
What about the board out here? It's got Fisher's Peak on it, one. Put your-
is that image for the digital billboard?
And that has the welcome center on it, also on it.
It just has the exit on it, exit and,
What are you thinking?
I haven't seen the billboards, so I can't really speak to what they look like.
Have you seen the billboard up by, where you go into, it's the exit that you go into, that big festival they have right before that old restaurant.
Larkspur?
Larkspur.
exit?
Have you seen that billboard? right
Larkspur, like in Colorado Springs, between
No.
Colorado Springs
Yeah.
and
there? Have you seen that billboard?
I drive that way all the time.
You haven't seen that? It's a big print. It comes on, just flashes.
I'll send you
It's
the
on the
exit number exactly so you can take a look at it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen this one.
That's the one that's.
That's the one that's here by Walmart.
And that's just a stationary one.
And it's not the greatest location for a board, it's small. But, that was an attempt to try to get it simple.
Something,
I think this one is okay for now. I mean, it's pretty,
Well, that one's locked in for a year, so.
yeah, so that one I think is okay. But so that's not the one we're talking about.
No. I'll send you the exact, actually, it has a picture of the billboard itself on it, so I'll send it to you.
but that one, the one up there is by Larkspur. That's just an idea of how it looks. And then the one we're advertising on is actually at the bottom, right before you turn in. You know what the port of entry is, at the bottom of Monument?
Here,
Bottom of Monument.
Monument, Colorado. I know where that is, but I haven't seen it.
Did you guys just finish?
I
Just
thought we
finished
all-
about 5 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
let's go to the right.